Hello and welcome to this last in the current series of Philip's Vivarium Jewels Talks. I have two guests today, two honoured guests, Saul and Eve Goldberg, the son and daughter of the legendary New York diamantaire William Goldberg, who I think I'm right in saying was the father of New York's diamond district, and so famous that he's got a New York street named after him. Today, Saul and Eve and the family, their brother-in-law Barry Berg and Saul's son Benjamin, if I got this right, and your mother Lily, still work together in the company, founded by their father, I think with the same passion that I've witnessed myself, and the same dedication to the divine diamond. Sadly, I have to say I didn't have the opportunity to meet Bill Goldberg, to meet your father, but obviously I knew a lot about him. I knew of his reputation. I knew that he is renowned for fashioning some of the world's most spectacular diamonds, for creating the Ashoka. And today the family continues to cut and polish superb diamonds in their factories in New York and around the world. And they also create fabulous contemporary diamond jewelry, which is where Eve's creative direction comes in. So I want to start asking both of you, but I'll start with Saul. I'm really intrigued to know, is the love of diamonds, is that passion, is it in your blood, do you think? Was it handed down to you from your father, this very special affinity that you have with the diamonds?
It has to be, because when I went off to college in Boston University, and I didn't know my career direction, everybody else in the world seemed to say to me, you don't have to worry about your future because you're going into your father's family business. And I didn't have that clarity, but it must have been pretty obvious that it was ingrained at the dinner table and in life.
Yes.
And sure enough, when I left school, my father, actually his partner at the time, they were splitting after 25 years. And it was very opportunistic that he said he truly did need some assistance, and I went straight to work at 21 years old, I believe, or 22. So yes, it's probably pretty natural.
It's in your blood. And you too, Eve, did you share the passion? Was your father talk about it every evening over dinner?
Well, I would say he wasn't home every evening over dinner, because he did a lot of traveling around the world.
I would have focused on Friday nights and Shabbos probably.
Right. Yeah. He didn't talk, but you know something, it's funny because I feel like the Premier Rose, which was the most famous diamond that kind of put my dad on the map, I wasn't working in the business yet, but yet I know everything about it. So it's clear that it was so much a part of his life. He had two passions, and one was his business and was diamonds, and the other one was his family. Yeah. So you couldn't avoid it with my father. It was like he exuded like this passion for diamonds, for whatever he did. My entry into the business was a lot different than Saul's. I came into it just to help out when my sister was having a baby. I was coming in for 6 weeks, and that was it. So it was a very different beginning for me. It wasn't ever expected. I think with Saul, it was more like the son. It was kind of like expected. But I think the passion was always there for our family. Like you couldn't avoid it.
Yeah. And your father was famous, I think, for this phrase, the magic is in the make. And I just thought it would be nice if you explained that a little bit. I mean, what makes Goldberg diamonds special?
I think Eve could answer, because I think they created the phrase together. I let Eve clarify that.
Is that true?
Many. It's probably when I first came into the business, and I don't even remember, we worked with an advertising agency, and we came up with the magic is in the make. And it was just, for my dad, I mean, he would look at every single stone, and he had like this understanding of what a beautiful stone was without really having the technical ability to cut a beautiful stone. But if a stone came from our factory to my father's desk, my father would look at it and he would go, there's something wrong. It's not 100%. It's not there yet. And they would look at him, and then they would study the stone, and they would go, you know what, you're right. How do you know that? It was one facet that was a little bit off or something. And he just like had this eye for it. And so in a way, I'm not saying that it was magic, but it was never about like the technical part that my father's thing was always about. It's not about what the certificate says. but it's about looking at the stone, the beauty of the stone. And we were always known for just making the most beautiful diamonds because we looked at every one, we studied it, we took our time and made sure that each stone was the best it could possibly be.
Bringing out the personality. I have to say here that I'm fascinated by people like your father who have this real affinity. Do you feel that he could look into the heart and the soul of a stone and the stone would tell him what to do? I think it's a very special relationship that just a few people possess.
But I think that's also, it's a trade expression. I think the end consumer may still to this day not really understand, because the word my father would say is the stone made right? Is it made well? But people say, what is a make? But
made,
that was the jargon. How is it made? The make is not right.
Yeah. The make, we should explain, the make means the cutting and polishing and the fashioning.
I think that's within the industry more understood.
Yes, yeah.
Right, right. And we would have people that would call up and they would say, I want one of those like magic is in the make stones. I mean, it really became in the industry, it became like a phrase that people understood that related to us. And for us, we weren't round stones. We cut every shape, but my father's really started out in fancy shapes, and that was really his passion. And so it was much more difficult to cut a beautiful fancy shape than it was to cut a beautiful round stone. There was a lot more artistry that went into it. And that was really like, he was very, very passionate about that. You agree, Saul?
100%, yeah. It was all about fancies, yes, because they had a personality, character.
Well, I'm going to jump in there now and skip to the Ashoka, which is your famous diamond. And I know there's a wonderful story behind it about the original Ashoka diamond. And I understand you, Saul, were there with your wife at the auction in the 1980s when this historic stone came up for sale. It was quite an era.
It was quite an era. St. Moritz. Is that? May I ask, Vivienne? Were you in the industry then? Probably.
I was.
Not.
Yeah.
Do you remember St. Moritz auctions?
Yes.
It was magical. It was a magical time up there. You went skiing, and then you went into the hotel to view the product, and that was one of the greatest sales, Sotheby's. And we were representing a client who wanted to buy some of the famous product. There was the Rockefeller Sapphire, I believe, was going up for auction, and the original 41 karat deep flawless Ashoka, and we were authorized to try to buy it, which we tried.
Maybe you should explain, it was an old Golconda Indian stone with a wonderful
the famous.
Yes.
Originally belonged to Maria Felix, originally from Harry Winston. It's in the Winston books, in the famous books. An exceptionally sexy, magnificent stone, and we were the underbidder. And I will challenge you now to try and find who owns it, because we'd like to buy it.
It's never resurfaced. So you decided to make your own.
We'd like to get it back. At least we like to have it, at least to put it on tour for a while. We believe since trying to buy that, we've actually improved on their beauty, but the original is still the original. It's quite special. Anyway, fast forward, I'm not sure how many years, well, actually 20 years ago, give or take from now, so about 2000 or late 1990s, a mutual friend of yours and ours, one of our greatest friends in the industry out of Geneva, not going to drop his name, we were in Basel, Switzerland, and he said, Saul, it's time to bring back special stones, vintage looks, cushions are coming back, unique stones are coming back. Why don't you bring back the Ashoka? I came back to talk to my dad, start experimenting with long, elongated stones, rough and polished, and that's where it all began. And it started. My father said, these are glorious, beautiful stones, but you're not going to ever find enough to build a business around it. And he challenged us, and we challenged each other. And it took off. The name we owned, the trademark.
We patented the stone,
and the patent. And it just took on a life of its own in terms of its beauty, how beautiful it works in jewelry as a single stone. And also, the connection to the original Ashoka, being a warrior, and he was a great leader, but more so the stone itself just speaks for itself.
It is beautiful. I love it. It's contemporary, and yet it's got the kind of echoes of history. Eve, so you set the Ashoka into wonderful modern jewels. Tell us a little bit about I know you've got a philosophy about how diamonds should be worn every day, that they should be enjoyed every day. And I think that's particularly important at this time, don't you think? Well, and even coming out of it, people are going to want more low-key, everyday jewelry. How do you see it?
Well, I think that started with my dad, because he used to say a diamond people would say, should I buy it for investment? And he would say, it might be worth more down the road, but that's not why you buy it. You buy it to wear it and to enjoy it. So that really always resonated with me. And our mom always wore beautiful jewelry. And like, for instance, this, which we call the lily chain, which has become a staple in my wardrobe that you can't see, but actually underneath I'm wearing jeans. So I even wear it with a pair of jeans very casually. And listen, we have a client who recently bought a Ashoka necklace all the way around for, well, it was a lot of money. I don't remember how, it was more than $500,000, let's say, they spent on this necklace. And when this whole thing, when isolation started with COVID, I got a picture from her of her walking outside with a friend wearing her necklace. Because she said it just made her feel so good. And she was going to wear it. She knew she wasn't going to have an occasion to wear it. And she was like, screw it. You know what? I'm wearing it anyway. So she was literally like jogging, exercising, wearing this necklace. And jogging. I said, you are my poster child for, for wearing jewelry. It should be worn and enjoyed. And so I love making pieces that are we make pieces that are obviously like something like this, which I happen to have, which is like a really important piece. Not so every day, but then,
all Ashokas.
These are all Ashokas. It's 10 rows of Ashokas. I think it's about 100 carats.
Very flexible.
I mean, it could be wearable also. It's very comfortable, Depends where you're going. But we do, I do like to make things, earrings, like some smaller pieces that people don't come to us only for that one very important purchase, that they can buy gifts from us and things like on a regular basis that are just more wearable. And I think it is more important. We've been saying in these talks that I think it's more important than ever today that people wear their jewels to make them feel good. It's reassurance, it's continuity, it's a sense of security that they give you. On that subject, Saul, I wanted to ask you first how your father influenced or shaped the New York Diamond District, and where is it today? Where do you see it going after recovery?
He was a leader. He was larger than life, and he was president of the Diamond Dealers Club. And he just wanted to keep improving 47th Street, improving the image of the industry. And as a comparison, unlike Harry Winston, who is obviously one of the greatest of all time, who was behind the scenes, my father was happy to be out front, be in the news, talk about the industry, do an interview, be on 60 Minutes, took his risks, for his personal health, thank God, nothing ever happened in that regard. But he even took a risk, doing interviews where some of these newscasters would look to undermine our industry, and he was out there, and he was proud to only speak about how he loved the industry and what a great business it is. So I think it was just leadership, and that's and the industry needs that, actually. And I don't think we've had that kind of leader since he's gone. I think New York is lacking that, even though America is the center of jewelry. The diamond industry doesn't have that kind of leadership. I don't believe it has it in Israel either. It used to be Moshe Schnitzer, was very similar to my dad in that era. Great leaders. I don't think we have it. The world has changed. Everybody is kind of in their own zone, doing their own thing, and I don't think we have that kind of leader.
But the whole diamond industry has opened up so phenomenally as well. The
world has changed. The world has changed. What can I say? And personalities like that don't always, come along.
No.
Right, and it's sad because that era, there's very few left from our dad's, era. Those other, gentlemen who started their business who were his age. And I would venture to say if he was still alive today, William Goldberg, and he would be like 95, he'd still be sitting at his desk because he had such a passion for this business. I don't think you see it that much today. I don't see that many people. And one thing I just want to add, when my dad was the president of the Diamond Dealers Club and was a leader, he was, I think it's important to note in this day and age, he was the first one to allow women to become members of the club.
We'll see. No, it's very,
Before
very
that,
important.
You had to be widowed in order to be allowed entry into the club.
Oh my goodness. Goodness.
It's true.
Yeah. And Eve, I asked you just briefly before, can you tell us what's on the wall behind you?
Okay, so this is, you can see this is all my dad's suspenders when he always wore suspenders. Like
and I knew he was famous for that. Yeah.
That was his, he never walked out without his suspenders. If he took the suspenders off, his pants fell down. So he had to wear them. But when he passed away, I took all of his suspenders and I took these amazing images that I had of him and stretched them their fabric over these wood pieces and put the suspenders on top. So I have an image of him smiling here, holding a diamond paper. This is, you can see his watch, and that's what I look at every day when I sit at my desk. So he's kind of like always watching over me, which is a little bit scary, but also beautiful.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
And if you go into the other office, Eve could pick up the hats and the cigars because they're trademarks.
We still have two of his cigars. Believe me, they're not smokable anymore, but they're museum pieces now.
I was going to say collector's items, real collector's items. Yes, and just sort of, where do you think the industry is headed when eventually we come out of this pandemic? I mean, do you think that the focus is going to shift around the world? Will it still be focused on New York and the Diamond District? I mean, how do you see it?
Actually,
crystal ball.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I see, interesting, counter to what Eve's seeing on the jewelry side, I'm seeing a resurgence in a slow way on the big stones side in a very positive way. I think this insecurity of the world, I think there's a lot of wealthy people still making a lot of money that are focusing back on buying big stones advantageously, the comfort of it being in their pocket or being on their wife's neck or on a hand. I'm seeing that energy for big, important stones, which I'm excited about, actually. I mean, it may be at a different price level, which may be very workable level for those that know what they're doing and those that are in the game. But I'm seeing excitement for big special stones and fancy colors. I think there's going to be enthusiasm, and it'll come from all places. It'll be Geneva, it'll be London, it'll be New York, it'll be Beverly Hills. I mean, we can't, who knows where, right? Who knows where?
But traditionally, diamonds have always done well in times of crisis, I think. So,
I'm repeating myself for the third time, but Eve knows I just finished the Cartier book, and I have some quotes there during the war when men went off to war and they didn't know if they were coming back.
Yeah,
they still bought diamonds, and they gave them, and love will rule. And I think today it's more than love. I think hard assets, and there's something very solid about them. And I see it more and more, not having been in my office as regularly as I was. And when I go open my vault and I open the drawers, and like my father always said, they didn't go sour, they're not fruit, they didn't go bad, just as fresh, just as beautiful now as they were 6 months ago, and how they'll be in 6 months. Yeah. And it's so true. It's so true.
And it's that sense of stability, isn't it, at these times, really sense of reassurance and security, emotionally and
I wasn't talking about that. I agree with that, but I'm saying as far as what people are wearing, and people want to have wearable stuff, but I agree, get big stones and putting your money into gems now is going to be a lot of that going on.
Yeah. And just one last quick question.
I'm moving locations because I had a great.
We see that. We see your collar.
I wrote down a great quote that I wanted to repeat to everybody, and I can't remember.
I just wanted to ask actually one before you find your quote. While you're looking for your quote, I just wanted to ask one quick question. What do you what did you learn? What's the one most important thing that you feel you learned from your father, Eve?
Oh, from my father. Oh my God. There are so many lessons that I learned from him, but I would say do I have to just say one?
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Okay,
you stolen Saul's quote.
No, because I wrote down
the other one. But I'll be interested.
I know she has to have 3 or 4.
Wait, I'll say one, and then let's see what Saul says. So I think one of the things he taught us is that the most important thing is keeping a good name for yourself and having a good name. And we're very fortunate that we have the William Goldberg name, that he created this amazing business for us that no matter what, always opened doors, because he paid his bills on time. He had a great reputation. He was honest. He was, he loved to help other people. He was charitable. And so keeping a good name, I think, was a very, very important lesson for me. That's one.
Saul, what's the most important lesson you learned from your father?
Right. See, well, this is not the quote, but the quote you'll get before you leave.
Answer the question.
Ethics, and honesty.
That's two. Okay.
Ethics and honesty. But I get back a lot to the mazal and the handshake, because I'm seeing in this climate, I'm finding myself speaking a little bit more to lawyers, which I really don't enjoy, whether it being about my lease or about other issues going on in the world, bankruptcies, and we could come back to this industry where the handshake and the mazal carries us through. I mean, that's not just my dad; it is our industry. But I learned it from him. But it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing to have your word be your bond.
And you've got a quote to finish this.
Yes. Do you know the famous Yogi Berra? Do you know Yogi Berra, Vivienne?
I do.
No, I don't. No.
Right. He was a great American baseball player. Very.
I see.
Look him up, and he said the funniest things.
I thought he was a 47th Street dealer.
It's foolish to make predictions, especially about the future.
There you go.
Oh, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to have you both on this Jules Talk. And goodbye to everyone, and hopefully we will see you again later in the year with another series of Jules Talk. But thank you so much for joining us at Philip.
Thanks, Vivienne.
Thank you, Vivienne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. Hopefully we'll see you face to face very soon.
I hope so.
Yes,
so soon.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.